January 16th, 1943. Portland, Oregon, Swan Island Shipyard, 7:40 in the morning. The SS Schenectady sits at the fitting-out dock. 441 feet of welded steel, 10,800 tons, built in 62 days. She cost $2 million. She is 8 days old. At 7:42, a worker hears a sound like a rifle shot. Then the scream of tearing metal. The Schenectady breaks in half. Not from a torpedo, not from enemy action. She simply fractures. 142 feet of the midsection splits clean through. Deck, hull, keel. The fracture is so complete you can see daylight through the ship. Men scramble off the deck as bow and stern sections sag at obscene angles. The keel, 22 inches of solid steel, has snapped like a twig. No one dies. The ship is docked. But every man knows what this means. If the Schenectady had been at sea in a January storm with 3,500 tons of cargo, all 44 crew would be dead in 6 minutes. The Schenectady is not alone. By February 1943, nearly 1,500 Liberty ships show catastrophic hull cracks. 7 ships have broken completely in half. 3 sank. The SS John P. Gaines, Aleutian Islands, January 4th, 10 men lost. The SS Pontchartrain, Caribbean, October 6th, 1942, split amidships, sank in 2 hours. America is building 3 Liberty ships per day. 1,400 vessels in 1943 alone. An industrial miracle. But the ships are killing their own crews, not because of U-boats, because of metallurgy, because America replaced 300,000 rivets with electric arc welds, swapped skilled craftsmen for housewives trained in 6 weeks, chose speed over certainty. Now in cold waters, American ships are tearing themselves apart. This is how America ran out of steel, how desperation bred innovation, and how one man, a dam builder who'd never built a ship, saved the war with a method experts swore would fail. 1939. Germany produces 22.5 million tons of military-grade steel annually. America produces 47.9 million tons, but it's for Fords and Frigidaires, not war. December the 7th, 1941 changes everything. Roosevelt's Victory program demands 60,000 aircraft per year. Each B-17 requires 5 to 7 tons of steel. 45,000 tanks. Each Sherman weighs 30 tons. 8 million tons of merchant shipping to replace U-boat losses. The War Production Board calculates total Allied steel requirement for 1942 through 43, 110 million tons. American capacity, 88 million tons, half already committed to railroads and infrastructure. The shortfall is 22 to 30 million tons, 10,000 Sherman tanks that don't exist. Between January and August 1942, German U-boats sink 609 Allied merchant ships, 3.1 million gross tons sitting on the ocean floor. Every ship takes 5 to 8,000 tons of steel with it. The U-boats are sinking ships faster than America can build them. The workforce problem is worse. Pre-war America had 75,000 skilled welders and riveters. The war needs 500,000 by 1943. The solution is desperate. 6-week training courses. Housewives, farmers, teenagers learn to weld. They practice on scrap for 2 weeks, then work on ships carrying men into combat. The instructors know most welds are garbage. Porous, brittle, full of cracks. But there's no time. If it looks smooth and the ship floats at launch, you pass. Nobody thinks about North Atlantic storms, 15-degree temperatures, 40-foot waves, and brittle steel fractures. Not yet. By mid-1942, America faces crisis. Not enough steel, skilled labor, or time. Germans are winning the Atlantic. Japan controls the Pacific. Britain is starving. America needs a miracle. What it gets is Henry Kaiser. Henry John Kaiser. Born May 9th, 1882, Sprout Brook, New York. Dropped out of school at 13. No engineering degree. By 1940, he's built Hoover Dam, Grand Coulee Dam, moved 120 million cubic yards of concrete. He's never built a ship. 1940. Britain needs cargo ships desperately. The Maritime Commission requests bids. Traditional shipbuilders estimate 10 to 12 months per ship. Kaiser, partnered with Todd Shipyards, submits a radical proposal. The established builders call him a damn fool. They're right. He knows nothing about ships. That's his advantage. Kaiser sees waste in traditional shipbuilding. Laying keels, building frames, hammering 300,000 rivets by hand, each heated to 1,800 degrees. It takes months. Kaiser asks, why build ships in one piece? Why not prefabrication, assembly line production? Build components in separate shops, weld them together, lift with cranes. Like building automobiles, naval architects are horrified. Ships flex and twist. Welded seams will crack. Riveted hulls work because rivets allow movement. Welding is rigid, brittle, dangerous. Kaiser doesn't care. He's interested in speed. He builds Richmond Shipyard No. 2, 620 acres, 4 parallel construction ways, 15 prefabrication sheds, each specializing in bow sections, stern sections, deck houses. Everything standardized with jigs and templates, interchangeable parts. Welders work 3 shifts around the clock. Kaiser builds housing, cafeterias, 24-hour childcare for 3,000 children, 6 on-site hospitals, with free health care, the foundation of Kaiser Permanente. By 1943, Richmond employs 90,000 people, 30% women. 20% black workers in integrated crews, radical for 1943 California. November the 12th, 1942, Kaiser builds the SS Robert E. Peary in 4 days, 15 hours, 29 minutes, keel to launch, world record. Still stands 82 years later, but there's a cost. Kaiser's son Edgar dies in a construction accident. Kaiser takes no time off, negotiating steel contracts instead of attending the funeral. The war won't wait for grief. This man revolutionized shipbuilding by ignoring tradition. But those welds hiding a fatal flaw are killing sailors. The solution comes from an unexpected place. A British woman at Cambridge studying steel under microscopes. The weld looks perfect, smooth, continuous. The inspector taps it, marks it approved. Nobody sees the molecular problem that will kill people. Traditional riveting uses 300,000 rivets per ship, 4-man teams, 12 to 16 weeks. Each rivet adds 50 to 80 tons of dead weight. But riveted ships flex. Stress distributes. If one rivet fails, the crack stops. Electric arc welding hits 6,500 degrees Fahrenheit. Steel melts and fuses continuously. No overlap needed. Saves 600 tons per hull, adds cargo capacity, works twice as fast. One welder replaces an entire rivet team. Kaiser chooses all welded hulls, 10 to 12 miles of welding per ship. The British Admiralty warns him, welded ships are fundamentally unsound. Kaiser ignores them. His yards produce a ship every 42 days. The welds look good. Ships float. They pass inspections. Then they start breaking. The problem is brittle fracture. Welding at 6,500 degrees creates a heat-affected zone where carbon migrates and impurities concentrate. Sulfur, phosphorus. American mills running at capacity use lower-grade ore. Sulfur content creeps to 0.04, 0.05%. It's enough. Add North Atlantic water at 29 degrees Fahrenheit. Steel undergoes phase transition, stops being ductile, becomes brittle like glass. A wave flexes the hull. Stress concentrates at a sharp hatch corner. Microscopic crack forms. Then physics takes over. The crack propagates at 1,100 miles per hour, races through welds, deck, hull, keel. 142 feet in under a second. The ship breaks in half. Dr. Constance Tipper at Cambridge University examines fracture samples under microscope, studies grain structure, crystalline boundaries, sulfide inclusions. She identifies the problem: notch sensitivity. Sharp 90-degree corners create infinite stress concentration. Add brittle steel, crack initiates instantly. Her solution: round the corners. 12-inch radius distributes stress. Add crack arresters. Ductile steel inserts perpendicular to seams. If a crack starts, it hits the arrestor and stops. Also preheat steel to 200 degrees before welding, slowing cooling rate. Americans implement her findings mid-1943. Kaiser retrofits existing ships, builds new ones with rounded hatches and arresters. Better steel, sulfur below 0.02%. Ship failure rate drops from 7% to under 0.5%. Compare this to Germany. Kriegsmarine uses welding sparingly. U-boats have welded pressure hulls only because rivets leak at depth. Surface ships like Bismarck are 80% riveted. Heavier, slower to build, but they don't break in half. German steel has sulfur below 0.01%. Welds done by certified craftsmen with years of training. The American method is opposite. Fast, cheap, dangerous until they solve the science. But once fixed, properly done welds with rounded corners, crack arresters, and low-sulfur steel become stronger than riveted joints. By 1944, Liberty ships cross the Atlantic in worst weather and survive everything. It's not magic. It's understanding steel's crystalline structure at molecular level. The welders don't know this. They just know their welds stopped cracking. They keep working 3 shifts, 7 days a week, building ships that will win the war. By January 1943, Richmond Shipyard No. 2 is the world's largest shipyard. 620 acres of marsh transformed in 14 months. 8 million cubic yards of fill. Cost $24 million. 4 parallel construction ways, each 620 feet long. 15 prefabrication sheds, 300 by 100 feet each. Steel arrives by rail. 200 rail cars per day. 8,000 plates. 24,000 tons daily. 800 oxygen-acetylene torches, cut through 3/4-inch plate in 45 seconds. Each Liberty ship requires 14,000 individual pieces. 1,500 Lincoln Electric welders, 300 amps each, 20,000 certified welders by 1943. Most are women. 30 feet of weld per shift. 20,000 welders laying 1.2 million feet daily. 227 miles. The 200-ton cranes are crucial. They lift bow sections weighing 80 tons, stern sections 150 tons. One operator controls 4 motions with 4 levers. Sections arrive in sequence. Keel, bottom shell, side shell, deck. 52 major sections per ship. The triple expansion steam engine weighs 140 tons, built by Joshua Hendy Iron Works. Installed by floating crane. 2 60-ton boilers, 40 miles of wiring, 660 tons of fuel oil in welded tanks. Power requirement, 66 megawatts from dedicated substation. Enough for a city of 50,000. High-tension lines from Hoover Dam, 800 miles away. The dam Kaiser built now powers his ships. Peak employment, 90,000 workers, 3 shifts, 24 hours. The yard never stops. Kaiser built Atchison Village, 1,000 apartments, schools, shopping, medical clinics, 24-hour childcare for 3,000 children, 6 hospitals with full surgical suites. Safety record is brutal. 91 deaths in 1943 alone. Welders fall, riggers crushed. Crane operators drop loads. Accident rate 4 times peacetime construction, but it's wartime. Work continues. November 12th, 1942. The SS Robert E. Peary. Keel laid at 12:01 a.m. Sections already prefabricated. Welders work in 6-man teams continuously. 4 days, 15 hours, 29 minutes later, she slides into San Francisco Bay. Record still stands. By war's end, Richmond builds 747 ships, 30% of all Liberty ships, 45,000 tons monthly. Kaiser's 6 other West Coast yards build another 1,000. German U-boats sink 1 ship every 2 days. America builds 3 per day. The math doesn't work for Germany. The SS Stephen Hopkins leaves San Francisco May 2nd, 1942. Destination, New Zealand, then Middle East. Cargo, 11,000 tons of war supplies. Her protection, 1 5-inch stern gun, 1 3-inch bow gun, 8 20-millimeter Oerlikons. Crew, 56 men. North Atlantic convoys are hell. New York to Liverpool, 3,000 miles, 12 to 16 days. 40 to 60 merchant ships in columns, 500 yards apart. 6 to 8 destroyer escorts. The convoys zigzag every 8 minutes, changing course 30 to 40 degrees. Makes torpedo targeting difficult, but adds 20% to transit time. U-boats hunt in wolf packs. 8 to 20 submarines coordinated by Admiral Dönitz from Lorient. They surface at night, attack at 17 knots, faster than merchants. Fire torpedoes at 600 yards, dive before escorts respond. A torpedo carries 617 pounds of hexanite. Hits a fuel-loaded Liberty ship, she explodes. Debris spreads half a mile. No survivors. In 1942, U-boats sink 609 Allied ships, 3.1 million gross tons, 117 ships in November alone, 1.6 ships per day. The Allies are losing the Battle of the Atlantic. North Atlantic winter is brutal. Waves 40 to 60 feet. Ships pitch 45 degrees. Water temperature, 29 degrees. Air temperature, 15. If torpedoed, a man has 6 minutes before hypothermia kills him. The convoy doesn't stop. Stopping makes every ship a target. Focke-Wulf FW-200 Condors, 4-engine bombers, spot convoys from Norway and France, range 1,800 miles. They radio positions to U-boat headquarters. Wolf packs converge. The Condors also carry 500-pound bombs. Accuracy is terrible, but one hit through the deck into ammunition holds destroys the ship. The Mid-Atlantic Black Pit has no air cover, 800 miles from Newfoundland, 800 from Iceland, 600 from Britain. 600-mile gap where U-boats wait. May 1943 turns the tide. Allies sink 41 U-boats in 1 month. 8% of Germany's fleet. Escort carriers provide mid-Atlantic air cover. HF-DF direction finding locates U-boat radios. Hedgehog forward-throwing depth charges are 300% more effective. Dönitz withdraws Wolfpacks June 1st. Battle of the Atlantic is over. September 27, 1942, SS Stephen Hopkins sailing alone, South Atlantic, 1,200 miles off West Africa. 0800 hours, 2 ships appear, German raider Stier, 6 5.9-inch guns, and supply ship Tannenfels. Stephen Hopkins has 1 5-inch gun. Stier opens fire at 8,500 yards. Second salvo hits the engine room. Engine dies. Ship dead in water. Ensign Kenneth Willett, 23 years old, orders return fire. 5-inch gun crew loads and fires. First shot short. Second hits Steyer's waterline. Third hits her bridge. Steyer's captain wounded. Ship on fire. Fight lasts 20 minutes. Stephen Hopkins fires 35 rounds, scores 15 hits. Steyer is sinking, but Stephen Hopkins is also sinking. 15 men reach one lifeboat. 41 go down with the ship. Willett killed at his gun. Steyer sinks 30 minutes later. Only German surface raiders sunk by armed merchant ship in World War II. 15 survivors drift 31 days, no water after 1 week, no food after 2. They drink rainwater when it rains. One by one they die. Lifeboat washes ashore Brazil. 19 men alive. 4 die in hospital. Willett receives Merchant Marine Distinguished Service Medal posthumously. Only armed guard officers so honored in World War II. By end of 1943, Allies win the logistics war. Liberty ships getting through, U-boat threat diminished, convoys protected. Cargo arriving. In Britain, an invasion force assembles. April 1944. Southern England ports choked with 5,000 vessels. 126 are Liberty ships. Waiting. Operation Overlord. D-Day. 175,000 men on day 1. 2 million following over 30 days. Planners calculate requirements. 1 infantry division consumes 65 tons daily in defense, 130 attacking. 12 divisions, 1,560 tons per day. Armored divisions. Patton's Third Army burns 400,000 gallons of gasoline daily. 960 tons. Artillery. 70 battalions firing 100 rounds per gun daily. 2,000 tons of ammunition. Total 30-day requirement, 1.5 million tons. 150 fully loaded Liberty ships. Problem: no deep-water ports. Cherbourg is German-held. Solution: artificial mulberry harbors, floating breakwaters, floating piers, and sunken ships creating calm water. Codename Gooseberry. 70 obsolete vessels selected for scuttling. 23 are Liberty ships, old models with known cracks. They're filled with concrete. Towed to Normandy, scuttled June 7th. They settle in 40 feet, superstructures above water, blocking waves. Inside, water is calm. Mulberry Harbors handle 7,000 tons daily by June 15th. First Liberty ship arriving is SS Charles Morgan, June 6th, D-Day. 5,000 tons of artillery shells. Anchors Utah Beach, 1,400 hours, 6 hours after first wave. German artillery still firing. Shells land 200 yards away. Crew doesn't wait. Opens hatches. Cargo booms swing out. Pallets lowered into landing craft. 8 hours per hold. 5 holds. June 8th, Luftwaffe. Ju-88 drops 2 500-pounders. 1 misses. 1 hits water 10 feet from port side. Explosion ruptures hull. Number 2 hold floods. Ship lists 8 degrees. Crew shifts cargo starboard. Shore's bulkheads activates pumps. Pumps rated 50 tons per hour. Flooding 60. Ship slowly sinking. Captain Alfred Carini requests immediate unloading. Beachmaster sends every landing craft. 40 hours after bomb hit, Charles Morgan is empty. Towed to Portsmouth, repaired, back in service July 1st. Makes 6 more crossings. By June 30th, Allies land 929,000 men, 586,000 tons of supplies. 150 Liberty ships participate. 12 damaged, 3 sunk. None from structural failure. Late July breakout, Operation Cobra. Bradley smashes through at St. Lo. Patton's Third Army pours through. 30 miles August 1st. 40 miles August 2nd. 50 miles August 3rd. Then out of fuel. Patton burns 400,000 gallons daily. 1,600 tons. Supply lines can't keep up. Red Ball Express delivers 5,000 tons daily. Patton needs 12,000. Third Army stops. Tanks idle. Patton cables Eisenhower. My men can eat their belts, but my tanks have got to have gas. Liberty ships save him. Cherbourg captured June 27th. Seabees clear wrecks, sweep mines, build temporary piers. Port operational, July 15th. First Liberty ship, SS James B. Weaver, docks, July 16th. 10,000 tons. Unloaded by hand in 4 days. By August 1st, 4 ships daily. August 15th, 8 daily. 80,000 tons per day. Marseille captured August 28th. Intact facilities. Within a week, 8 Liberty ships daily unloading. Battle of Hurtgen Forest, November to 1944. First Army attacks through dense woods, steep hills, prepared German defenses, advanced 200 yards daily, 30% casualties. Artillery fires 20,000 rounds daily, 660 tons. Supply depots running low. 4 Liberty ships dock Antwerp. November 10th. Each carries 3,000 tons of artillery ammunition, 12,000 tons total. 18 days of heavy combat. Shells trucked directly to artillery positions. By December 16th, Americans take the forest. Cost, 33,000 casualties. Without those ships, they run out of ammunition and withdraw. December 16th, Battle of the Bulge. Germans counterattack. 29 divisions through Ardennes, aiming for Antwerp. If they take it, Allied supply line cut, armies starve, war turns. Antwerp handles 15,000 tons daily. 30 Liberty ships in harbor December the 16th. Orders: work faster. Ships emptied in 3 days instead of 5. 300,000 tons in 4 days. Supplies trucked to units holding the Bulge shoulders. 101st Airborne at Bastogne receives 40 tons. Enough. They hold. German advance stops December 24th. Out of fuel, out of ammunition. Counterattack fails. By January 25th, 1945, Allies retake lost ground. Antwerp never stopped operating. D-Day to VE Day, Liberty ships deliver 15.6 million tons to Europe. 7,800 fully loaded ships. More than entire U.S. merchant fleet in 1939. Without Kaiser's 3 ships per day, no D-Day. Without welded hulls, ships don't survive crossing. Without untrained workers learning in 6 weeks, ships aren't built. Liberty ships didn't win the war. Men with rifles did. But Liberty ships carried the rifles, and ammunition, and fuel, and everything else. Ships were the foundation. May 8th, 1945. Germany surrenders. August 15th, Japan surrenders. Suddenly, America has 2,710 Liberty ships. Each cost $2 million to build. Total, $5.4 billion. Most expensive shipbuilding program in history. Now they're obsolete. Worthless. Nobody needs them. Maritime Commission tries selling. Commercial lines aren't interested. Liberty ships are slow, 11 knots. Modern ships make 15. The engine is steam triple expansion from 1890, outdated before first launch. Buyers want diesel engines. Turbines. Commission drops prices. $2 million to build. Selling price, $100,000, 5% of cost. Still no buyers. Drops again. 50,000. Buyers appear. Scrap dealers. They buy ships, sail to breaking yards, cut them apart. Steel sold for scrap, 15 cents per ton. 10,000 tons yields $1,500. Catastrophic loss. Better than letting ships rust. Between 1946 and 60, 1,800 Liberty ships scrapped, cut apart with torches, melted down, turned into rebar and Buicks, ships that survived U-boats and storms reduced to molten steel. Some survive. Aristotle Onassis buys 6 in 1947, $20,000 each. 120,000 total. Renames them refits, installs diesels, uses them hauling grain and oil. Ships make him rich. By 52, he owns 40 ships. Half are ex-Liberty ships. By 56, he's worth $500 million. Foundation. Liberty ships bought for Cadillac prices. Other Greek ship owners follow. Stavros Niarchos, Goulandris family. By 1970, Greeks control 25% of world merchant tonnage. Foundation. Liberty ships bought for scrap prices in 46. Ships built by untrained workers in 42 days become foundation of modern Greek shipping. Outlast the empire they defeated. Outlast British Empire. Outlast Soviet Union. Some remain in U.S. Reserve Fleet. Ghost fleets in Suisun Bay, James River, Beaumont, mothballed, sealed, preserved, just in case. June 25, 1950. Korea. U.S. needs transport. 540 Liberty ships activated, sitting idle 5 to 8 years. Engines covered in cosmoline, wiring corroded, hulls barnacled, Navy crews scrape, flush, replace. Within 6 weeks, ships sail. Korea, Japan, Philippines. Ships older than the sailors crewing them. Built 42, sailors born 30. Ships perform perfectly. No hull failures, no cracks. Welded seams hold. Ships supposed to last 5 years operational, after 10. Korean War ends 53. Ships return to reserve fleet. Maritime Commission knows truth. Nearly indestructible. 1967. 6-day war disrupts oil. Tanker rates spike. Liberty ships profitable again, converted to tankers. Crude conversions, but functional. Haul oil from Persian Gulf to Texas. 1973. Yom Kippur War. Another crisis. More Liberty ships activated. By 75, 200 still in commercial service. 33 years old. Ancient by maritime standards. Still sailing, still profitable. Henry Kaiser dies August 24, 1967. Heart attack, 85. Built dams, ships, healthcare system, revolutionized industry. New York Times obituary, 12 column inches. Mostly Kaiser Permanente. Shipbuilding gets 2 sentences. No state funeral, no presidential tribute, no Medal of Freedom. Man who built 30% of Liberty ships dies in obscurity. But ships remain. 2 preserved as museums. SS John W. Brown in Baltimore, SS Jeremiah O'Brien in San Francisco, both operational. Maintained by volunteers, retired shipyard workers. Keep engines running, boilers certified. 1994 50th D-Day anniversary. Jeremiah O'Brien crosses Atlantic under own power, 52 years old. San Francisco to Normandy. 6,000 miles in 28 days. Arrives June 6th, exactly 50 years after D-Day. Anchors Omaha Beach. President Clinton visits, asks volunteers why they do it. One man who welded Liberty ships at Richmond in 43 says, "Because someone needs to remember." Today, 2025, last Liberty ship still afloat. 15 in Suisun Bay Reserve Fleet. Rusted, derelict. Coast Guard wants them removed. Environmental hazard. Asbestos, lead paint, fuel oil. Costs $2 million to properly scrap one. Same price to build in 43. But they're still there. Still floating. 83 years after first launch. Ships built in desperation by untrained workers using unproven methods. Ships experts said would fail. Ships that broke in half in port. They outlasted German U-boats, Third Reich, Soviet Union. Cold War. Henry Kaiser? Everyone who said they wouldn't work. Final irony. Liberty ship design, 5-hatch configuration, welded hull construction, became template for modern cargo ships. Container ships, bulk carriers, oil tankers. all built using continuous welding and prefabricated sections. Kaiser's 1942 methods are standard practice today. 243,000 merchant mariners served World War II, crewed Liberty ships, crossed Atlantic and Pacific into combat zones. Civilians. Could quit any time. Didn't quit. Kept sailing. 9,521 died. 3.9% casualty rate. Higher than Army, Navy, Air Force. Only Marines higher. They weren't soldiers. Didn't get GI Bill. No veterans benefits. Not recognized as veterans until 1988. 43 years after war ended. Most already dead. Ships crossed 160 million miles of ocean during war. Distance from Earth to Sun 160 times. Under fire. In storms. Alone. Delivered cargo. 15.6 million tons to Europe. 8.7 million tons to Pacific. 24.3 million tons total. Carried by civilian sailors in ships everyone said wouldn't survive. Without them, no invasion. Without ships, no victory. Without Kaiser's gamble. Without housewives who learned to weld. Without the metallurgist who discovered why welds cracked. Without merchant mariners who kept sailing against impossible odds, the war continues. Maybe forever. Liberty ships didn't win the war, but they made winning possible. The foundation, the logistical backbone. The unglamorous workhorse that carried the free world's weight across 10,000 miles and delivered it where it mattered. Now they're gone. Scrapped. Forgotten. Rusting in Suisun Bay, waiting for someone to remember.